The pressure cooker is on at Richmond.
It's going to be a hot one. It's going to be a tough one.
Don't take no prisoners, all right? Yeah, simple.
Virginia's capital city is home to Richmond Raceway, one of NASCAR's longtime short tracks.
Hot and slick, looking for grip all day long. Lock in, fellas. Here we go.
Get us the W.
Richmond, the place where the heat is on.
Do a better job than everybody else to be around 10.
Cars are going to drive worse, and tempers are going to flare easier.
All right, here we go in Richmond.
Welcome to Around the Track, presented by Moultrie Mobile. I'm Kim Coon alongside Ryan Flores, and it has been a nice, relaxing 2 weeks off. I know drivers have been busy. What have you been up to?
We went on a Disney cruise. We had some fun with the kids down in Florida. I feel refreshed, but I am ready for this 14-week grind on the Cup Series to try to get us a second championship in a row.
Yeah, hopefully all of the Cup Series drivers and all the National Series drivers are refreshed. They were busy, though. You look at Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez, both getting married in the offseason. Cole Custer welcoming a new baby. Congratulations to he and his wife, Carrie. But there was still racing happening during the break.
Speaking of Daniel Suarez, he got married in Brazil. Then he ran the NASCAR Brazil races. He won one of the races. He ended up second overall on the weekend. And there was just a lot of fun racing. Saw the cars tour Wilkesboro. The ARCA finish at Elko. Oof. Oh my gosh, it was one of the, in a season of just close finishes in every series, they had their own. They were sideways across the line. William Swalach wins that race. Austin Beers goes back-to-back at Lancaster. So there was no shortage of racing action this weekend. Yeah,
and there's going to be no shortage of racing action all this week, and not just at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, there's a ton going on. We'll see. Everything gets fired up at Bowman Gray here Saturday night. The series, that season there comes to an end early, so only 3 weeks left in their schedule. So it's getting down to the wire for their championship. See ARCA West race at Tri-Cities, and NASCAR Mexico and NASCAR Canada both on the docket this weekend. So a ton of racing on your Flow Racing app away from Richmond. But let's go back to ARCA West. Big name in the field there.
Yeah, ARCA West, you look at Tri-City Raceway. Greg Biffle is going to be in the car. That's kind of his home track. He's from Vancouver, Washington. He's actually a track champion in late models at Tri-City. And you look at what that team, what Sigma Performance Services was able to do earlier in the season at Sonoma with Sam Mayer. They won that race, so I'm expecting big things. Yeah,
Biffle is a Busch Series champ, a Truck Series champ, and he was a champion at Tri-City Speedways, like you said. So strong ties there back in his hometown. I'm excited to see how he does this weekend.
Yeah, and all that racing action leads into the action happening at Richmond Raceway. And there was a lot of action in the spring in the Cup Series at Richmond. Let's take a look back at that race.
Wet weather tires. What will we see? This is fantastic. I've never seen cars all over the racetrack of Richmond like this. Denny Hamlin, winner. Home track win for Hamlin in the Toyota Owners 400.
As we look at the racing action from Richmond, the Xfinity Series, those slackers are taking a third week off in a row. So it'll be Trucks and Cup, both night races, Saturday 7:30, Cup race Sunday at 6 p.m. But Trucks, this is the last race of their regular season. We're going to know what the playoff field is. This locks everybody in. So what are you looking for there?
Well, the points battle is still pretty close when you talk about the cutoff line. You have Tanner Gray to the plus side, +5, and then on the other side of that, Daniel Dye -5. Again, to your point, last race to lock it in. Then they get a little bit of breather before the playoffs kick off at Milwaukee. So it's really time to focus in, figure out what you need for your playoff run. And then there's going to be some interlopers. Because it's the last race before the playoffs, no Cup Series drivers can be in the trucks. But we're going to see some fresh faces still.
Yeah, Connor Hall, he's been tearing it up in the car store every late model race in the Southeast. Yeah. And Connor Zilich and William Swalach, they've both been so strong in the ARCA series this year. But, man, the guy that I'm watching more than anybody is that yellow 88. I want to see if Matt Crafton can punch his way into the field. It's do or die for him, so it's going to be an exciting race on Saturday night.
Yeah, he's basically going to have to win it if he wants to get in the playoffs. If he doesn't, it's going to be the first time Matt Crafton misses the playoffs since the current format. But the Truck Series, that action on Saturday night is going to be hot, but then the Sunday night action in the Cup Series is going to be just as exciting. So let's take a look at the Cup Series practice and qualifying schedule.
Yeah, so practice is going to be a little bit longer this week. We got the option tire, which we'll talk about later. 45 minutes of practice followed by qualifying on Saturday at 5:30. Those are both on the NBC Sports app. Cup race, like we said, Sunday night on USA.
So first race after the break, there's 4 races until the playoffs start. So this is really like do or die for the Cup Series teams. And it's also on the flip side, like for you guys have multiple wins on the season. You know you're in the playoffs. It's polishing up all those things before the championship run begins.
Absolutely. And when I look at the 4 races left, this is a race that was won the last time we were there on pit road. The pit road action is going to be hot and heavy with all that tire options and kind of how this race breaks down. I think Steve Letarte and Todd Gordon did a great job on Inside the Race last week, breaking down what that tire issue is going to look like and how many sets. I think there's 6 sets of yellows, 2 sets of reds, so it's going to create a lot of opportunity for guys like Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain that have to get stage points, but then guys that kind of can throw Hail Marys and just go for the race win, they're going to maybe save their tires to the end. So it's going to be exciting to watch that. And then a couple guys that we have interlopers, as you say. Parker Retzlaff will be making his Cup debut. Riley Herbst and Ty Dillon also in the field this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of action from Richmond. You mentioned the tire option. We're going to talk about that a little bit later into what to watch for. But remember, there's weather in the area. We also have the wet weather tires in play at Richmond. It is going to be an action-packed weekend. And one driver you're not going to see on track this weekend because the Xfinity Series is off is Chandler Smith. But you're going to want to keep an eye on him for the rest of the season.
Comes out of turn number 4. Chandler Smith will win it at Phoenix for his second career win.
Draw today, boys.
First too many, my man.
It's a Richmond runaway for Chandler Smith, and in dominating fashion is going to get his second win of 2024.
Did a great job. Make sure you guys are awesome today.
Job today.
So you're looking at Chandler Smith's 2024 season stats, 403 laps led. That definitely is something to be proud of. But this team, they were one that needed the break and desperately needed the 3 finishes before the break. His best finish was 15th. The other 2, 33rd and 38th.
Yeah, definitely a welcome break for those guys. Try to get the ship righted there in the JGR camp. But if there's one guy that can do it, it's Jeff Mendering. I worked with Jeff quite a bit. He was the car chief for Tony Stewart's 2011 run. He's won championships at the Cup level as a car chief, and he's a veteran leader. He's been around racing a long time. His brother Kevin Mendering was at Hendrick for a long time, still there, and he's just a racer. So if there's anybody that can get this ship righted, it's Jeff Mendering. So I look forward to see what they do when they come back at Michigan, getting ready for their playoffs.
Yeah, and they're already locked in. They have those 2 wins you saw on that stats sheet, and those 2 wins came at Phoenix and Richmond. And so as you think about that, is he maybe a championship favorite, being that he won at Phoenix? But he's a Richmond winner. Another guy that won previously in Richmond in the Craftsman Truck Series is Grant Enfinger. He's still looking for his first win of 2024.
Enfinger for the lead on Crafton, and he's got it. That one simple little bobble. Oh, my.
On overdrive, get your mark. 6 more.
Grant Enfinger is going to win for the 3rd time this season. Back at Richmond, and Enfinger back in victory lane.
As we look at Grant Enfinger's Richmond stats, 4 starts, 1 win, but he's finished in the top 10 every time he's been there. CR7 brought him over to this team for a reason.
Yeah, and I think they've surprised a lot of people with their performance. You know, he came over from GMS. People were questioning what can he do at CR7. And CR7 is a small team. They don't have as many resources as some of the teams that Grant has been on previously. But he's really been riding a wave of momentum recently. You look at all of his top 5s, they came in the last 6 races. 4 podium finishes in those last 6 races, including 2 runner-up showings. So that feels to me like he is the knocking on the door of a race win.
Absolutely. You know, you want to get momentum at the right time of the season. And with the regular season winding down, look, Cody Robaugh went off and hired him for a reason. They wanted to make this team better. He is a veteran. He is somebody that is going to make your race team better, and it's been exciting to see. I'm ready to see them get their first win. Is Richmond a place where he can do it?
I think he can. And, you know, he doesn't have the pressure of trying to race his way into the playoffs. He's already locked in the playoffs by points. But then I look at this title run for him, and he's looking for redemption from last year at Phoenix. He had that title all but locked up until those late race restarts, and those were just mishaps that he was not responsible for.
Yeah, he's won a regular season championship, but never the Truck Series championship, so see if he can turn that around. But hey, we're going to Richmond. We got an option tire. Let's dive deeper into it. Let's hear what the drivers have to say before we head to Richmond.
Richmond's a place that I fell in love with really from the first time I've been there. I'm always excited to get to the short tracks, and Richmond definitely has that feel.
It's like driving down rush hour traffic down any busy interstate. It's pretty wild during the middle of a green flag run.
Richmond's tough, especially in the summertime. It just gets really slick and hard to get a hold of. If your car's good and the tires are falling off like they always do, you can kind of move around and get to the front. At some tracks where track position is so important, hard to pass, no fall off, Richmond doesn't fall into that category.
Well, Kim, we've been talking about it all show long. The tire option as we head to Richmond. The teams in practice. Let's start with practice.
Yep.
45 minutes. They're going to have to dial their car, and they get one set of option, one set of prime. What are you looking for?
Well, let's talk about those tires first of all. You mentioned option and prime. The option tire, it's going to be softer. As you look at the side wall, it's going to have Goodyear in the red lettering. And then the prime tire is the baseline. It's kind of what we bring every single weekend. It's going to be a little bit harder, possibly longer lasting than the softer tire. The softer tire is going to give you more grip, less grip on the prime tire. And then as you look at that sidewall to keep track of that, it's going to be in yellow. But that's not the only tire option they have this weekend because there's some weather in the area.
Yeah, like we had to go the white lettering for the rain tires the last time we were there. We won't be able to run an active rain, but if the track gets a little wet, you'll be able to see us keep the race going like we did the last time we were at Richmond. It was the first time we did it in a points-paying race, so that was exciting. But it's all going to start practice, like we said, and then it's going to roll into qualifying. What is important about qualifying at Richmond?
Well, qualifying, we talk about there being a primary and option tire. While they can start the race on either of those tires and choose to use those tires however they want during the race, for qualifying, they have to use that primary tire.
Yep, and then qualifying is going to set you up with your pit stall selection, which is so important here at Richmond. Richmond is one of the most challenging places as a pit crew guy that we go to. The pit boxes are really short, but they're very long, so it makes the approach to the car very difficult and often puts you out of position, which makes your pit stop slower. We saw this race won by Denny Hamlin and the 11 pit crew guys in overtime. He was able to beat the 22 and the 19 off pit road to claim their win at Richmond. And man, not only is pit road going to be hard, the strategy for the crew chiefs is going to be very challenging.
Sounds like the teams have a lot of work ahead of them.
They do, and we'll see who's able to earn it. This Sunday night is going to be a lot to watch. If I wasn't going to be at the race, I'd be glued to USA.
On top of that, keep in mind, 4 races left until the playoffs, 4 spots left on the playoff grid, so the intensity is on for those teams that haven't found themselves a spot.
Yeah, I am happy I am not on the 23 or the 1 or the 19 or the 54 because this is a chance for a team outside of the cutoff line to really throw a Hail Mary and swing for the fences, so we'll see who's able to capitalize with these tires this weekend.
And now that we've told you what to watch, we're going to tell you where to put your money. We welcome in Erica Davis next for Easy Money with E.
So who is your best value pick for your fantasy league?
I've got it's my guy.
Yeah, we took a gamble this weekend.
Luck or the lack thereof. It's a big factor here today.
Listen to me out there, gamblers.
That's me, baby.
Time for Easy Money with E, so we'll welcome in Erica, our sports betting analyst. And Erica, while the Cup Series has not been on track in the last couple weeks, things are heating up in Paris for the Olympics. And I know last time we talked, you were actually looking at some Olympic bets, so where did those stand?
Yeah, I gave you guys 2 bets for the Olympics, and one was Steph Curry to be the leading scorer for Team USA basketball squad, and that was at plus 350. Well, we know now, Kim, that that's probably not going to hit. That's probably going to end up being LeBron or Kevin Durant or maybe even Anthony Edwards. However, I did also give you guys a best bet for the leading scorer for the women's basketball team, and that was Asia Wilson at plus 220. And that is actually shortened. So now she's like minus 140. So if she keeps on showing up, Kim, we're going to have some cash in our pockets for my best bets for the Olympics.
Speaking of cash in our pockets, I know the NASCAR fans are eager to put their money on Richmond this weekend. The Cup Series back in action. What is the first bet you're looking at for this weekend?
I'm super excited. My first bet for this weekend is Kyle Larson at plus 240 to be a top 3 finisher. Now, caution, guys. I need for you to shop around because I have found this line as short as a plus 140. And I really pray by the time you guys are watching this, plus 240 is still available for you because it gives you an edge. And I want that advantage for you. But we know that Kyle Larson runs incredibly well at short tracks, and he finished 3rd here in the spring. But we also know, Kim, that Larson doesn't have to be aggressive because he's beyond locked and loaded into the playoffs. But even though he doesn't have to be aggressive, Kim, I still think that unless there's some wacky weather, I'm looking at you, Tropical Storm Debbie, or a crazy finish, which we've had a lot of crazy finishes leading up to the Olympic break, I don't see why Larson would not have a podium finish. As a matter of fact, I even like his plus 700 odds to be an outright winner.
I like the Larson pick because you think about the tire option this weekend. That means strategy comes into play, and Cliff Daniels is a wizard when it comes to making calls at the racetrack. All right, so 1 bet down. What's the next bet we're looking at?
Bubba Wallace plus 350 to be a top 5 finisher. Now, unlike Larson, Bubba does need to be aggressive because, as we know, he has not locked himself into the playoffs. He does have 4 top 5 finishes on the season, including a top 5 finish at Indy leading up into this Olympic break. Now, I know that's several weeks ago, but I do think that's still worthy of some momentum going into really what is a must-win situation for Wallace. So plus 350, Bubba top 5 finisher. I know some folks aren't going to like that spot. So for those people, I have another bet for you, and that is Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch to both finish in the top 10 at plus 310. Great value, great price.
Okay, I like the Bubba pick. He's made up a lot of ground in the point standings. He was on a little bit of a surge before the break, but the Kyle Busch pick has me scratching my head a little bit. Explain this to me, because I know he's also in one of your other bets.
Wait for it, guys. I have Kyle Busch as a top 10 finisher at plus 110. And I know that's very rich coming from the president of the Fade Kyle Busch Coalition, but the tables have turned and here we are. Let me tell you why I like that bet, Kim. Plus 110, first of all, that's on the plus money side. But guys, shop around because I've also seen that at minus 110. Definitely want the plus money. I also like that because he finished third in this exact race a year ago in July of 2023. So we know that Busch can get it done.
You know I'm a safe bettor, and this Kyle Busch still feels like a huge liability to me.
So speaking of liability, you and I did talk a little bit earlier, and it's so interesting to me, Kim, that at one particular sports book, Busch is a liability because so many folks have backed him as an outright winner at plus 3,000 that if that ends up happening, that spot would be a bad place for this particular sports book. Now, I'm not one of those bettors who's backing Kyle Busch at plus 3,000 because I don't think he's going to get into victory lane this year. However, I don't think that you can ever count out a 2-time champion. I think that he can still put together some good races to have some solid finishes as the season winds down.
That's a really great point. But Erica, it's still very early in the week. You know, you've mentioned the weather. We've talked about the tire options. There's so many factors at play this weekend at Richmond. So how important is it for bettors to shop around, particularly this week?
It's so important, Kim. I found Larson at plus 700 as an outright winner. I also found him at plus 450 as an outright winner. Again, I found Busch at plus 110 to finish in the top 10. I found him at minus 110. So when you don't shop around, you could possibly end up leaving money on the table. I know sometimes as bettors, we just want to put our money down as soon as we see something, but the savvy bettor shops around until they get the best number. And that's what I want you guys to do this week before Richmond.
Well, great information for all the race fans that are ready to put their money down for Richmond. And keep Erica on your radar because she's going to have bonus bets later in the week. Erica, thank you so much. We're thrilled to have you. And we will see you next week as we preview Michigan International Speedway.
Hey race fans, Corey LaJoy here. Join Ryan Flores and myself for Stacking Pennies each week. I'll break down my race and explain what happened right out of my windshield.
Plus, we award the Dogs of the Week for the best pit crews and go in-depth on all the money stops, pit road mistakes, and penalties.
And we've got a ton of guests. We have SVG stopping by. We had Ricky Stenhouse after he punched Kyle Busch in the face. We've had Bubba. We've had all sorts of guys in here in the Nonsense Garage, so you do not want to miss it. Check us out on Sirius XM Channel 90, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts. Each and every week, Stack of Pennies is what's up.
If you're headed to Richmond Raceway this weekend, there is so much to do as a race fan, and all kind of kicks off on Friday. The Speediatrics Fun Day Festival starts off 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's going to be at the NASCAR Experience right in the fan zone. I've been a part of this before. It is so much fun, especially for the little ones. So I know families are coming out. Put that on your calendar.
Yeah, the fan zone at Richmond is a place that we don't get to see it many times being active competitors, but we walk through it where we park there at Richmond, and it's always electric. And I'm pumped up to see who wins the cornhole tournament on Saturday and the Cookout 400 trophy, which I hope that we are able to claim will be on display in Victory Lane this weekend as well, so you can go check that out. I wish it was just a milkshake.
I know. As you think about Cookout being the title sponsor of the race, they should serve the winning team milkshakes in Victory Lane.
What would your milkshake order be?
Well, it's so hard because Cookout's milkshake list is like a mile long, and it changes. They've got some seasonal favorites, but it would probably have to be peanut butter banana.
Oh, whoa, yeah. That's good. I think I might get weird here. I like mint chocolate chip or chocolate with M&Ms, so I'm not sure.
I thought you were going to go because they've got some weird ones, like watermelon milkshakes. They've got a crazy list, but again, maybe they should start implementing that.
I don't get too extreme with it, but if you want to get extreme, there is an extreme guy that you can meet there.
Yeah, Travis Pastrana is doing autographs on Sunday, 3:45 p.m. Eastern. That's going to happen in the Enfield. So again, if you're a race fan, Richmond should be on your list to visit.
Absolutely. And if you want to see a full list of everything going on, you can go to richmondraceway.com for everything and follow their social media to keep up with weather updates and everything going on at Richmond Raceway this weekend.
And we'll see you after the break to give you our fantasy picks for this weekend.
I'm Steve Letarte. Join myself and Todd Gordon each week on NASCAR Inside the Race, presented by Consumer Cellular.
We will break down exactly how the race was won, plus we'll dive into the data and go in depth on penalties, race strategies, point standings, and rules changes.
And we have all kinds of fun tools to show off to provide all the minute details. Catch NASCAR Inside the Race each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
It's time to help you set your fantasy lineup for Richmond this weekend. So we're going to start with must-haves, and your pick is?
I'm taking MTJ. I think about Richmond, and he's won 3 of the last 10 race series, always up front. And I think Martin's going to realize that his Cup career is coming to an end. You know, I think he's been kind of 1 foot out the door, but after this 2-week break, he's going to be refreshed, and he's going to come back and realize that he's got 14 weeks left in the Cup Series, and he's going to start off at Richmond by punching his way to victory lane.
Well, you stole my pick, because although Denny might seem like the obvious choice at Richmond, I have my eye on MTJ. You mentioned those 3 runs in the last 10 races there. On top of that, the spring race, he led 228 laps. It looked like it was going to be his race to win until that overtime restart.
Yeah, they've made their pit crew better, and James Small's been doing a great job on the box. Toyotas are going to be strong, and he's fighting his way in the playoffs. Who is your black flag?
You're probably going to be mad at me for
say it.
this.
Don't
so
say
my
it.
black flag is Ryan Blaney. For a couple, it has nothing to do with the pit crew. You just look at Ryan's past performances there. It's one of only 2 oval tracks he has never finished top 5 at, and then he only has 2 top 10s. In 16 Richmond starts, I'm gonna hear about this until next week.
It hurts my heart that you say that, but I do know that Richmond is a place that we circle as a place that we need to get better at, and we've been circling it for about the last 10 years, and it just always seems to be something at Richmond. Yes, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I am going with Kyle Busch. He has 6 Richmond wins, but he's only finished in the top 10 4 times in the next gen era, so I'm staying far away. I think listen, I've been pulling for this 8 team to turn it around all season long, but I don't think Richmond's the place. So I don't mean to beat him while he's down, but I don't think that this is the place where Kyle Busch turns it around.
Okay, well, from the black flag to our white flag on the show, I got a bit of trivia about the city of Richmond for you. Are you ready?
I don't know.
It kind of plays into maybe the race fan a little bit. So in 1935, it's very easy.
Okay, yeah.
In 1935, Richmond was the debut city for the canned version of what alcoholic beverage that's preferred by NASCAR fans?
Budweiser.
Easier than that.
Oh, I don't know. Miller Lite?
Just beer, period.
Oh, beer. Okay, just beer in general.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought that was interesting. Canned beer debuted in Richmond.
Nice. Hey, I've drank a beer too in Richmond. The old, what was that? Tobacco Company? Was that what it was? Yeah, that was a fun bar, and we've always had a ton of fun in Richmond. It's one of my favorite racetracks. The action track, if you will.
Again, prove me wrong. Maybe you're going to be saluting canned beers in Richmond Victory Lane, along with some maybe milkshakes if Cookout listens to us.
That is the plan, and your plan should be to join us right back here next week as we break down everything as we head up to Michigan.